She discovered the betrayal hours before saying "I do," but returned with something no one expected. Rebecca Anderson was in the hotel room, surrounded by bridesmaids putting the final touches on her wedding dress, when she received an anonymous message that would change everything. The phone vibrated with a video showing her fiancé Richard kissing another woman during his bachelor party the night before. The world seemed to stop when she recognized the woman in Richard's arms. It was Jennifer, her distant cousin whom she herself had hired as the wedding planner. Rebecca's hands trembled as she watched the images that destroyed 5 years of relationship in mere seconds. "Rebecca, are you all right?" asked Ashley, her younger sister, noticing the sudden paleness on the bride's face. I need a moment alone," murmured Rebecca, quickly putting away her phone. The bridesmaids left the room, leaving Rebecca alone with her devastating thoughts. She looked in the mirror and saw a radiant bride in a French lace dress that had cost a fortune. Everything was perfect, except for the fact that the man waiting for her at the altar had betrayed her trust in the worst possible way. The phone rang. It was a call from an unknown number. "Hello? Rebecca, it's me, Jennifer. We need to talk." Her cousin's voice sounded nervous, almost desperate. Rebecca felt a cold anger rising in her chest. "Talk? About what, Jennifer? About how you destroyed my wedding?" "It's not what you think. Please meet me at the back of the church in 5 minutes. There's something you need to know." The call ended, leaving Rebecca more confused than ever. Part of her wanted to cancel everything, to run away from that humiliating situation, but another part needed answers. She went down through the back of the hotel, avoiding the guests who were already starting to arrive. Grace Cathedral, in the historic center of Charleston, was decorated with arrangements of white roses and lisianthus, everything exactly as she had dreamed during months of preparation. Jennifer waited for her behind the sacristy, visibly shaken. At 28, she had always been the rebellious cousin in the family, the one who constantly changed jobs and could never maintain a serious relationship. Rebecca had given her a chance to organize the wedding, hoping to help her stabilize professionally. "Rebecca, I can explain..." "Explain what? That you kissed my fiancé the night before my wedding." "It wasn't just a kiss." Jennifer lowered her eyes, tears beginning to flow. "Rebecca, I'm pregnant, and the baby is Richard's." The world seemed to completely collapse beneath Rebecca's feet. She leaned against the church wall, feeling her legs give way. "How long?" 3 months. It started when you introduced us at the engagement dinner. I swear it wasn't planned, Rebecca. It just happened, and then we couldn't stop." Rebecca closed her eyes, remembering that night. She herself had insisted that Richard get to know Jennifer better, thinking it would be good for her cousin to have a professional connection with someone successful like him. Richard was an architect, owner of a thriving firm in Atlanta, and had always supported her decision to give Jennifer a chance. "You're lying. Richard would never do this to me. I have the medical exams, the messages, everything. He said he was going to break up with you after the honeymoon, that he couldn't cancel the wedding now because it would be a scandal for his family." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. At that moment, an authoritative voice cut through the air. "Rebecca, what are you doing back here?" It was Mrs. Wilson, Richard's mother, a 60-year-old woman with perfectly styled hair and an always calculating expression. She approached with firm steps, wearing a navy blue dress that had cost more than many people's monthly salary. "Mrs. Wilson, Jennifer, you should be checking if the flowers are in the right place, not bothering the bride," Helena cut in sharply. "Rebecca, dear, you need to go back to get ready. The guests are arriving." Rebecca looked from one to the other, sensing something strange in Mrs. Wilson's hurry to separate them. "You knew, didn't you?" asked Rebecca, her voice gaining a steadiness she didn't feel. Mrs. Wilson hesitated for a split second, but it was enough. "Knew what, dear?" "About the affair between Richard and Jennifer. You've known for months." The silence that followed was deafening. Mrs. Wilson looked at Jennifer angrily, then turned her eyes to Rebecca with an expression that mixed guilt and desperation. "Rebecca, you don't understand. These things happen. Men are complicated. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Marriage is more important than these momentary slips. Slips? Rebecca felt indignation growing in her chest. You're calling a 3-month affair with a pregnancy involved a momentary slip. Please don't make a scene. Think of your family, our family. 300 guests are in there. What will they think if you cancel everything now? Jennifer remained silent, tears streaming freely down her face. Rebecca looked at her and, surprisingly, felt more pity than anger. Her cousin had always been fragile, always seeking approval in the wrong ways. Jennifer, did you tell him about the pregnancy? I told him last night after the bachelor party. That's when he said he was going to break up with you after the honeymoon. Mrs. Wilson rolled her eyes. Men say many things when they're confused. It doesn't mean anything. To me it means everything, replied Rebecca, her voice gaining a strength that surprised even herself. Mrs. Wilson, with all due respect, you can go back to the cathedral. I need a few minutes to decide what to do. Decide? Dear, there's nothing to decide. You're going to walk down the aisle, marry my son, and be happy. These problems work themselves out over time. No, said Rebecca firmly. I will decide what to do with my life. Mrs. Wilson looked at her in surprise. During the 5 years of their relationship, Rebecca had always been the perfect daughter-in-law, polite, submissive, eager to please. She had never questioned the Thompson family's decisions. All right, Mrs. Wilson sighed, but remember that my son loves you, and that you won't find anyone better than him out there. After Mrs. Wilson walked away, Rebecca was alone with Jennifer again. Becky, I'm so sorry. I ruined everything. You didn't ruin anything, Jennifer. You just revealed who Richard really is. What are you going to do? Rebecca looked toward the cathedral where she could hear the organ playing. The guests were settling in, waiting for a ceremony that might never happen. First, I'm going to talk to my father. Then I'll decide whether to walk down the aisle or not. And if you don't, then I'll have to deal with the consequences. Rebecca walked back to the hotel, her mind racing a mile a minute. In the elevator, she ran into her father, David Anderson, a 58-year-old man who had built a prosperous construction materials business from scratch. He looked elegant in his tuxedo, but seemed nervous. Honey, you disappeared. Your mother is worried. Dad, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Now, Rebecca, the wedding starts in an hour. That's exactly what it's about. They entered her room, now empty. Rebecca told her father everything. The video, the conversation with Jennifer, the pregnancy, Mrs. Wilson's reaction. David Anderson listened in silence, his face growing redder with each revelation. That wretched boy, he exploded when she finished. How dare he do this to my daughter? Dad, please keep your voice down. Keep it down nothing. I'm going down there and punching his lights out in front of everyone. You won't do that, it won't solve anything. David Anderson took a deep breath, trying to control himself. He had always been protective of his daughters, especially Rebecca, who was more sensitive than Ashley. Then tell me what you want to do, sweetheart. Do we cancel everything now? I don't know yet. I need to think. Rebecca, you don't have to marry anyone out of obligation. I don't care what people will say. What matters is your happiness. Thank you, Dad. And that money we spent on the wedding, it was a lot, sweetheart, but I don't mind losing it all if it means seeing you free from that scoundrel. Rebecca knew the wedding had cost the family a small fortune. Her father had insisted on having only the best, even if it meant dipping into their savings. Grace Cathedral, the ballroom at the Metropolitan Club, the catering, the honeymoon in Hawaii, everything planned down to the smallest detail. Dad, there's something else. Grandma Margaret's inheritance. David Anderson stiffened. The inheritance from Rebecca's mother, who had passed away the previous year, included a house in Buckhead, Atlanta, and a considerable sum of money. On the advice of the family lawyer, Rebecca had put everything under a separation of assets agreement, but Richard had been pressuring her to change that after the wedding. What about the inheritance? Richard has been very interested in the paperwork. He even suggested I sign a power of attorney for him to handle everything. David Anderson's face darkened. Sweetheart, You didn't sign anything, did you? No. I always thought his hurry was strange. You did the right thing. A decent man doesn't keep an eye on his wife's inheritance. At that moment, someone knocked on the door. It was Ashley, 24 years old, radiant in her bridesmaid dress. Becky, you need to start getting ready. Mum is going crazy downstairs. Ashley stopped when she saw their expressions. What happened? Rebecca told her sister everything, who was left speechless. That bastard, and I thought he was perfect. Ashley language, murmured David Anderson automatically. Sorry, Dad, but that's what he is. Becky, you can't marry him, you can't. I know, Ash, but it's not that simple. How is it not simple? He cheated on you, got another woman pregnant, and is still eyeing your inheritance. And the guests, and the money Dad spent, and the family's humiliation. Ashley approached her sister and took her hands. Becky, do you remember when we were little, and you always protected me from the bullies at school? I remember. You always said it was better to face the truth, no matter how hard it was, than to live a lie. That's what you're doing now. Living a lie. David Anderson looked at his daughters with pride. Ashley had always been more impulsive, but she had a pure heart and sharp intuition. Your sister is right, Rebecca. Better to face the shame today than to live unhappy forever. But what if I'm making a mistake? What if Richard explains himself, says it was just a moment of weakness? Sweetheart, David Anderson moved closer. A man of character doesn't cheat, and if he cheated once, he'll cheat again. At that moment, Rebecca's phone rang. It was a message from Richard. My love, I can't wait to see you walking down the aisle. I love you more than anything. Rebecca showed the message to her father and sister. How cynical, murmured Ashley. Sending romantic messages after spending the whole night with someone else. It's as if he did nothing wrong, agreed David Anderson. That's what bothers me the most, the falseness. Rebecca put her phone away, feeling sick to her stomach. How could she have been so wrong about Richard's character? For 5 years he seemed like the perfect man, affectionate, successful, respectful toward her family. When he proposed, he was romantic and traditional, asking David Anderson's blessing first. Dad, can we go downstairs? I want to talk to Mom too. Of course, honey. They went down to the hotel lobby, where Dr. Sarah Anderson waited nervously. A 55-year-old retired pediatrician, she had always been the voice of reason in the family. When she saw the worried expressions on the three of them, she immediately knew something was wrong. What happened? Rebecca told everything for the 3rd time. Doctor, Sarah listened silently, her expressions shifting from surprise to indignation, and finally to cold determination. My dear, you are not marrying this man. Mom. There will be no discussion. 30 years in medicine taught me to recognize people's character. Richard always seemed too calculating to me. Now I understand why. But Mum, what about the scandal? What scandal, Rebecca? You found out your fiancé is a cheater and a liar hours before the wedding. Any sensible person would understand your decision not to go through with it. Dr. Sarah was known for her objectivity. During years working at the public hospital, she had seen many difficult situations and learned to make quick, firm decisions. Besides, she continued, I never liked the Thompson family. That Mrs. Wilson always treated me as if I were beneath her, just because we don't have their money. Sarah, you never said that, said David, surprised. I didn't say it because I didn't want to influence Rebecca, but that woman always looked down on me. And now she expects my daughter to accept being cheated on in silence? Not a chance. Ashley smiled. Mom, you're being amazing. I'm being a mother, Ashley, and a mother protects her children. At that moment, a familiar voice called Rebecca. Becky. She turned and was shocked to see Mr. Michael Bennett approaching, her first serious boyfriend from when she was in business school. He looked elegant in a grey suit, more mature at 32, but with the same gentle smile she remembered. Michael, what are you doing here? Ashley invited me. I hope you don't mind. Rebecca looked at her sister in surprise. Ash? I thought it would be nice for him to come. You two were so happy together in college. Ashley Marie Anderson. David used his daughter's full name, as he always did when scolding her. Dad, I just thought that... "It's fine," interrupted Rebecca. "Michael, it's good to see you. You look radiant, Becky. Richard is a lucky man." The irony of the situation wasn't lost on anyone. Michael, who had always been honest and caring with Rebecca, was there to watch her marry a man who had betrayed her. "Michael," said Dr. Sarah, "are you still a lawyer?" "Yes, I have a practice in Atlanta now." "That's good. We might need your services." Michael looked confused from one person to another, sensing the tension in the air. "Did something happen?" Rebecca hesitated, then decided to tell him everything. Michael had known her better than anyone during the 3 years they dated. He would know what to say. "Wow, Becky, what an awful situation. Do you think I should cancel? I think you're one of the most principled people I've ever known. If it were me, would you do the same thing?" "I would." "Then you have your answer." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. At that moment, Patrick Wilson, Richard's best man and his partner at the architecture firm, appeared in the lobby. At 35, Patrick always seemed to have some hidden animosity toward Rebecca, though she never understood why. "Rebecca, what a scare. I thought you'd run off," he said with a forced smile. "Richard is nervous over there at the church." "Patrick, where was Richard last night?" "Last night? At the bachelor party, of course. Why? And were you with him the whole time?" Patrick hesitated, a small smile appearing at the corners of his mouth. "Well, you know how these bachelor parties are. People scatter. Everyone does their activities." Rebecca noticed something strange in Patrick's tone. It was as if he was savoring the situation. "What kind of activities?" "Rebecca, why all these questions? Shouldn't you be getting ready for the wedding?" "Answer the question, Patrick." Mr. Michael approached, sensing the tension. "Is there a problem here?" Patrick looked at Michael with disdain. "And you are Mr. Michael Bennett, a family friend." "Oh, the ex-boyfriend," Ashley told me. "How interesting that you're here at her wedding." David Anderson stepped forward. "Patrick, either you answer my daughter's questions or you leave right now." "Calm down, Mr. David. There's no need for aggression." "Aggression is what you'll see if you don't tell the truth." Patrick laughed, but there was something cruel in his laughter. "The truth? Do you really want to know the truth?" "We do," said Dr. Sarah Anderson firmly. "The truth is that Richard doesn't deserve Rebecca. He never did." Everyone fell silent, surprised by the unexpected confession. "What do you mean?" asked Rebecca. "He's always been a coward, a person with no character. But you were all so dazzled by the money and status that you never wanted to see it." "Patrick, you're his best man," reminded Ashley. "I'm his business partner. It's different." "And look, I tried to warn you in other ways, but you didn't want to listen." Rebecca felt a chill in her stomach. "What other ways?" "Who do you think filmed him with Jennifer last night?" The shock was total. Patrick had sent the anonymous video. "You," whispered Rebecca. Someone had to open her eyes. "Richard has been cheating on you for months, Rebecca. It's not just Jennifer. There are others." David Anderson moved toward Patrick, but Michael held him back. "Calm down, Mr. David. Let him talk." "Why did you do this?" asked Rebecca, still in shock. "Because I'm tired of seeing him deceive you. And because I always thought you deserved better." There was something in Patrick's tone that made Rebecca realize an uncomfortable truth. He was interested in her. "Patrick, how long have you known about the affairs?" "Months. He doesn't hide it very well." "And you never told me because I knew you wouldn't believe me. You'd think I was making it up out of jealousy." "Are you?" Patrick turned red. "Maybe a little, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a scoundrel." Dr. Sarah looked at Patrick with curiosity. "Patrick, you said there are other women. What others?" "His secretary, Brittany, the client from the mall project, Vanessa, and now Jennifer." Ashley was speechless. "How do you work with him while he's doing these things?" "Work is work. Personal life is personal life." "Not when it involves my daughter," said David Anderson, his voice filled with anger. "Mr. David, I tried to protect her. That's why I sent the video." Protect her by sending an anonymous video on the morning of the wedding? Questioned Mr. Michael. That's not protection, it's cruelty. It was the only way she would believe. Rebecca was processing all the information. Richard hadn't cheated just once. It was a pattern of behavior. Patrick, do you have proof of the other affairs? I do. Show me. Patrick hesitated. Rebecca, are you sure you want to see? I am. He took out his phone and showed several photos and messages. Richard with different women on different occasions. Some dated back more than a year. Dr. Sarah took the phone and examined the evidence with a clinical eye. My dear, this shows a pattern. It wasn't a momentary slip. Why did you keep all this? Asked Michael, still suspicious of Patrick. Because I knew one day it would be necessary. Or because you wanted to use it against him when convenient, Michael retorted. Patrick glared at him angrily. And what do you know about it, Mr. Michael? You showed up here today, at your ex-wife's wedding, trying to play the hero. I'm not playing any hero, I'm just questioning your motivations. My motivation is simple. I don't want to see Rebecca being deceived. And what is your proposal? Asked David Anderson. That my daughter break up with Richard and be with you? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. It's written all over your face. Rebecca looked from Patrick to Michael, feeling even more confused. The situation was getting more and more complicated. Everyone, please. This isn't the time for fights. I need to decide what to do. Becky, said Ashley, do you really want to get married knowing all this? No, of course not. Then there's nothing to decide. But how will I explain it to the guests, to Richard's family? You don't owe anyone an explanation, said Dr. Sarah Anderson firmly. You are the victim here. At that moment, Mrs. Wilson appeared again, now accompanied by an older man, Colonel Thompson, Richard's father, and a former military man. Rebecca, dear, I need to speak with you urgently. Mrs. Wilson, it's about your grandmother's inheritance. There's something you need to know. David Anderson stepped forward defensively. What does my mother-in-law's inheritance have to do with anything? Richard told me you're going to combine your assets after the wedding. It's a very wise decision. We are not combining anything, said David Anderson curtly. Mrs. Wilson seemed genuinely surprised. What do you mean? Richard said Rebecca had already agreed. Richard lied to you too, observed Mr. Michael Bennett. Colonel Thompson, who had remained silent, finally spoke. Young man, it doesn't seem to me that your opinion is relevant here. Daddy, don't be rude, said Rebecca. No, honey. He's right. This is a family matter. Michael took a step back respectfully, but remained close. Colonel, said David Anderson, with all due respect, my mother-in-law's inheritance is not your family's business. It becomes our business when my son marries your daughter. If he marries her, corrected Dr. Sarah Anderson. Mrs. Wilson looked at her with alarm. What do you mean, if? Your son is a cheater and a liar. My daughter is not going to marry him. The shock on Mrs. Wilson's face was genuine, but Colonel Thompson remained impassive. What are you all talking about? Asked Mrs. Wilson. Rebecca told her once again about the video, Jennifer's pregnancy, and now the evidence of other affairs that Patrick had shown. Mrs. Wilson turned pale. This must be a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding, Mother, said Patrick. I have proof of everything. Colonel Thompson looked at Patrick angrily. And since when do you collect evidence against my son? Since he started to dishonor the name of our company. Our company? You are just a minority partner. I am an equal partner, Colonel, and I have as much right as Richard to be concerned with the firm's reputation. Mrs. Wilson was clearly in a panic. Patrick, please don't do this. Think of the family, the scandal. I did think, Mrs. Wilson. That's why I tried to resolve it in other ways first. What other ways? Asked Colonel Thompson. I talked to Richard several times. I asked him to break up with Rebecca before the wedding if he wasn't going to be faithful. He told me he would behave after he was married. And you believed him? Asked Mr. Michael. Of course not. That's why I kept the evidence. Rebecca was beginning to realize there was much more to this story than she had imagined. Patrick, you planned all this, didn't you? The timing of the video, bringing the evidence today? I plan to save you from a disastrous marriage. Or to destroy Richard, suggested Colonel Thompson. The two aren't incompatible. Mrs. Wilson approached Rebecca with tears in her eyes. Darling, please don't let this destroy everything. We can work through these issues after the wedding. Men make mistakes, but they can change. Mrs. Wilson, with all due respect, you knew about the affairs and didn't tell me. How can I trust you now? I knew about some indiscretions, but I thought it was just a phase. Indiscretions? Ashley exploded. Your cousin is pregnant with his child. Ashley, please, begged Dr. Sarah Anderson. No, Mom, this family is trying to convince Becky to get married knowing she'll be betrayed. This is disgusting. Colonel Thompson became irritated. Young lady, watch your language. I won't watch anything. You're all accomplices. David Anderson put his hand on Ashley's shoulder. Sweetheart, calm down. Dad, how can you stay calm? They wanted Becky to marry while being deceived. At that moment, Richard appeared in the hall, clearly nervous. At 30 years old, he had always been considered a good catch, tall, well-dressed, with the charm that came from a privileged upbringing. Becky, my love, what's going on? Why is everyone here? The silence that followed was tense. Rebecca looked at him, seeing for the first time not the perfect man she thought she loved, but someone who had lied to her for months. Richard, we need to talk. Now. Honey, the wedding starts in 40 minutes. That's exactly why we need to talk now. What is this about? Rebecca took out her phone and showed the video of him with Jennifer. Richard's face lost all color. Becky, I can explain. Can you explain the pregnancy too? Richard looked around, realizing everyone knew. His eyes stopped on Patrick, who was staring at him with a look of satisfaction. Patrick, you bastard, you're the one who told... I just showed the truth. The truth? You're destroying my life out of jealousy. I'm saving Rebecca's life. You're the one who destroyed your own life. Richard moved toward Patrick, but David Anderson stepped between them. Not in front of me. Mr. David, you don't understand. Patrick is sabotaging everything for his own gain. The self-interest here seems to be yours, young man. How many women have you cheated on my daughter with? Richard looked at Rebecca with desperation. Becky, I know I made mistakes, but I love you. We can work this out after the wedding. Work it out? How do we work out a pregnancy, Richard? Jennifer, we can take care of that. The comment caused widespread outrage. Take care of it? Said Dr. Sarah with disgust. What kind of man are you? Doctor, please, stay out of this. I'm not a doctor. I'm a doctor. And as a physician, I'm horrified by your suggestion. Richard realized he had said too much. I didn't mean that. I'm nervous, confused. You're being yourself, said Ashley with disdain. Becky, please, let's talk alone. No. Everything you have to say can be said in front of my family. Fine. I made mistakes, but who hasn't? I was nervous about the wedding, about the responsibilities. And that's why you got my cousin pregnant. It was an accident. For 3 months, Richard didn't know what to say. And the others? Asked Rebecca. Brittany, Vanessa. How many more? Patrick showed you the pictures. So it's true? Becky, men are different from women. That doesn't mean I don't love you. The explanation was the last straw. David Anderson moved toward Richard, but Mr. Michael Bennett held him back again. Mr. David, it's not worth it. Yes, it is. This punk is calling my daughter a fool to her face. Richard stepped back. I didn't call anyone a fool. Yes, you did. You're saying she should accept your affairs because you're a man. Colonel Thompson tried to defend his son. David, let's talk like civilized men. Civilized men don't raise traitors. Richard made mistakes, but... Mistakes? Interrupted Dr. Sarah. Colonel, your son systematically cheated on my daughter for months, got another woman pregnant, and was still eyeing her inheritance. These aren't mistakes, it's a lack of character. Mrs. Wilson began to cry. Please, you don't understand the pressure Richard has been under, the office, the commitments. Mom, stop, said Richard, embarrassed. I won't stop. Rebecca, you're a smart girl. You know marriage isn't a fairy tale. All men have their adventures. Mrs. Wilson, said Rebecca calmly, are you saying I should accept being cheated on because it's normal? I'm saying you should be mature about this. Maturity would be me respecting myself enough not to accept this. Patrick, who had stayed quiet during the argument, spoke up. Mrs. Wilson, with all due respect, you are completely wrong. Rebecca deserves a man who respects her. And you think that man is you? Attacked Richard. I think any man would be better than you. Patrick, you've always been jealous of me. Jealous of my money, my family, and now jealous of my fiancé. Ex-fiancé, corrected Rebecca. Everyone looked at her. It was the first time she had said it out loud. Becky, began Richard. No. It's over, Richard. I won't marry you. The silence was total. Mrs. Wilson sobbed loudly. Colonel Thompson clenched his fists, and Richard turned white as a sheet. You can't be serious. I am completely serious. And the guests, and the money, and our plans? The guests will understand the money is our problem, and the plans were based on lies. Richard looked around, desperate. Patrick, this is your fault. You destroyed everything. I didn't destroy anything. I just showed what you had already destroyed. Mr. David, you're not going to let your daughter make this mistake, are you? David Anderson looked at Richard with contempt. The only mistake here would be her marrying you. But the family's reputation... My family's reputation stays intact when we protect each other. Yours is the one that's tarnished. Colonel Thompson addressed Rebecca. Miss, I ask you to reconsider. My son may have made mistakes, but he loves you sincerely. Colonel, love isn't a word, it's action, and your son's actions show exactly what he feels for me. But you can overcome this. Marriages go through crises. This isn't a crisis. It's betrayal. Deliberate and repeated betrayal. Mrs. Wilson approached once more. Rebecca, please, think of your parents. They spent so much money. Helena, said Dr. Sarah Anderson coldly, stop trying to manipulate my daughter. Her happiness is worth more than money. But there are 300 guests. Who will understand the situation? And the honeymoon, the reservations? Everything can be cancelled. Richard, seeing he was losing the battle, tried one last card. Becky, I know you're hurt, but think, who else will want you? You're already 28. The insult was so great that even Patrick was shocked. David Anderson stepped forward again, but this time it was Rebecca who held him back. Let it go, Dad. He's just showing who he really is. She turned to Richard. Richard, thank you. You just confirmed I'm making the right decision. Becky, I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. And you know what else? I know I'll find someone much better than you, someone who truly values me. Mister. Michael gave a small smile but said nothing. And about the inheritance, continued Rebecca, forget it. I will never share a single penny with you. But we were going to be married. But we aren't, and now we never will be. Mrs. Wilson made one last attempt. Rebecca, think of everything you built together. We built nothing. I built illusions based on his lies. Ashley approached her sister. Becky, you're being amazing. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Ash. David Anderson looked at Richard one last time. Young man, you lost the best thing you ever had in your life, and it's your own fault. Mr. David, now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take care of my daughter. You deal with your own problems. Colonel Thompson tried to salvage something from the situation. David, perhaps we can talk later, when tempers have cooled. Colonel, there's nothing left to discuss. Your family showed their true character today. But the scandal is your problem, not ours. Mrs. Wilson looked at Patrick angrily. Are you happy now? You destroyed an entire family. I didn't destroy anything. I just revealed what you were hiding. You did this for revenge. I did it for justice. Richard looked at Patrick with hatred. Our partnership is over. I already knew that. I've been preparing to leave the company for months. What? Did you think I would continue working with someone without character? But the company is mine too. Was. Now you'll have to buy me out, or I'll buy your share. The revelation left Richard even more shaken. He was losing not only his fiancée, but also the business. Patrick, you planned all this. I prepared for the consequences of doing the right thing. At that moment, Jennifer appeared timidly at the entrance to the hall. She had changed out of her party dress into simple clothes and looked like she had been crying a lot. Rebecca, can I talk to you? Everyone looked at the cousin, who was clearly suffering. "Jennifer, now is not a good time," said Dr. Sarah Anderson. "Please, Aunt, just a minute." Rebecca looked at her cousin, seeing not the woman who had betrayed her trust, but someone who had also been manipulated. "All right, Jennifer, let's talk." They moved away from the group, finding a more secluded corner of the hall. "Becky, I came to apologize again, and to tell you something I found out." "What did you find out?" "Richard. He told me that you two had already fought, that the wedding was almost cancelled. That's how it started." Rebecca felt another stab of betrayal. "He lied to you too. He said you were only with him for interest because of the family's money. That's a lie. I know that now. But at the time, I was going through a tough time. I had lost my previous job. I was having financial problems." "Jennifer, you don't need to justify yourself." "Yes, I do. You were always good to me, Becky, since we were little, and I repaid you in the worst way possible." Rebecca looked at her cousin, remembering all the times she had helped Jennifer over the years, lending money, giving advice, offering emotional support. "What are you going to do now?" "I'm going to raise my child alone. I don't want anything from Richard. And financially? I'll manage. Maybe I'll go back to Savannah to be near my mother." Rebecca thought for a moment. "Jennifer, do you want to keep working in events?" "I do. But after all this, you're good at what you do. You shouldn't give up because of a mistake. You would give me a reference." "I would, but on one condition." "What?" "That you promise never to get involved with a taken man again." Jennifer began to cry. "I promise, Becky. And thank you so much for being so generous. I don't deserve it. Everyone deserves a second chance, Jen, including you." They returned to the group, where the argument had subsided in intensity. Richard was sitting in an armchair, his head in his hands, while his parents spoke in whispers. "Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing." "Becky," said David Anderson, "I've decided. I'm cancelling everything. The cathedral, the hall, the catering." "Dad, what about the money?" "To hell with the money. You're worth more than that." "Mr." Michael approached discreetly. "Mr. David, if you need help with the legal aspects of the cancellations, I can assist. No charge." "Thank you, Mr. Michael. But why would you do that?" "Because Rebecca was an important person to me, and she doesn't deserve to go through this alone." Rebecca looked at Michael with gratitude. Even after years without speaking, he was there, offering support in her most difficult moment. "Michael, thank you. But you don't have to. I want to help, Becky. If you'll let me." Richard raised his head and looked at them angrily. "How convenient. The ex-boyfriend shows up right at the time of the breakup." "Richard, stop," said Rebecca. "Michael has nothing to do with this." "He doesn't? What a coincidence he's here today." "I invited him," said Ashley, "and I'm glad I did. At least there's one decent man here today." "Ashley," scolded Dr. Sarah. "It's true, Mom. Look at the difference between them." Everyone looked at the two men, Michael, calm and respectful, offering help without expecting anything in return. Richard, desperate and aggressive, trying to blame everyone for his own mistakes. Mrs. Wilson stood up. "Enough. We're leaving." "Mom," began Richard. "No, Richard. You made your choices. Now you have to deal with the consequences." "But the wedding—" "There won't be a wedding," said Colonel Thompson firmly. "You have dishonored our family." "Dad? You lied, cheated, and even tried to take financial advantage. That's not what I taught you." Richard was shocked by his father's reaction. "But you always said marriage is a business." "Business, not theft, and not betrayal." Mrs. Wilson looked at Rebecca one last time. "Dear, I'm so sorry for all of this. You are a wonderful girl and deserve better." "Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. And Richard." She looked at her son with disappointment. "You lost a treasure. I hope this serves as a lesson." The Thompson family left the hotel, leaving Richard alone. He looked at Rebecca desperately. "Becky, please don't let it end like this." It's already over, Richard. A long time ago. I just didn't know it. But I can change. You had 5 years to change. You chose not to. What if I seek help? What? Therapy. Do it for yourself, not for me. I won't be here waiting. Richard looked at Patrick one last time. You won, Patrick. I hope you're happy. I didn't win anything. I just did what was right. And now? Are you going to try to win her over? Patrick looked at Rebecca, then at Mr. Michael. Now I'm going to let her decide what she wants for her life. Richard left the hotel, defeated. The lobby grew quieter, with only Rebecca's family, Patrick, and Michael remaining. Well, said David Anderson, now we have 300 guests to notify. I can help with that, offered Patrick. Me too, said Michael. Rebecca looked at the two men, realizing the irony of the situation. Just a few hours ago, she was about to marry Richard. Now she had two men offering to help cancel the wedding. Thank you, but that's my responsibility. Ours, corrected Dr. Sarah. We are family. We face everything together. Mum, you're right, Ashley approached. Becky, do you want me to go to the church to tell the priest? Good idea. Can you go with her, Michael? Of course. As Ashley and Michael left, Patrick approached Rebecca. Becky, I know you must be confused about my motives. I am. I want you to know I did everything thinking of your well-being. I expect nothing in return. Patrick, can I ask you a question? Of course. Why did you remain his partner knowing all this? Patrick hesitated. Because I was saving money to leave, and because I wanted to have enough evidence when the time came. The time for what? To show you the truth. Rebecca studied Patrick's face. He had always been attractive, but she had never noticed because she was focused on Richard. Now, seeing his determination to protect her, she began to see him in a different light. Patrick, are you interested in me? I always have been. But you were with Richard, so I never showed it. And now? Now you're going through a difficult time. It wouldn't be fair to pressure you with that. The maturity of the response impressed Rebecca. It was very different from Richard's possessive and manipulative behavior. Thank you for being honest. I will always be honest with you. It's the least you deserve. David Anderson approached. Patrick, thank you for everything you've done. I know it must have been difficult. It was the right thing to do, Mr. David. And now, what are you going to do professionally? I'm going to open my own office. I already have some interested clients. If you need referrals, you can count on me. Thank you. Dr. Sarah Anderson looked at her daughter. Rebecca, how are you feeling? Strangely, relieved. Relieved? It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, as if I were freeing myself from something. You were freeing yourself. From a relationship based on lies. That's true. Ashley and Michael returned from the church. It's all settled, informed Ashley. The priest was very understanding. He said he had been through similar situations before. And the guests? Asked David Anderson. Some were already arriving, said Michael. We told them. Most reacted well. Said you made the right decision. Really? Yes. Apparently some people had suspected Richard for a while. Rebecca was surprised. What do you mean? Mrs. Mary, that neighbor of yours, said she had seen him with other women in Atlanta. And no one told me. People don't like to deliver that kind of news, explained Dr. Sarah Anderson. They prefer not to get involved. But I had the right to know. You did. And now you know. Patrick checked his watch. The wedding was supposed to start in 15 minutes. Do you want me to go to the hall to explain the situation? I'll go with you, said David Anderson. It's my responsibility. Dad, I'm coming too. You don't need to, daughter. You've already been through enough today. Yes, I do. People came because of me. They deserve an explanation from me. Mr. Michael offered. I can drive you there. My car is outside. During the ride to the Metropolitan Club, Rebecca thought about everything that had happened. A few hours ago, she was preparing for what she believed would be the happiest day of her life. Now, she was going to cancel everything publicly. But strangely, She didn't feel sad. She felt free. The hall was beautifully decorated, with white and gold flower arrangements, exactly as she had dreamed. The guests chatted in small groups, clearly confused by the rumors that were already beginning to circulate. Rebecca stepped onto the small stage where the symbolic ceremony was supposed to take place after the church. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today." The hall fell silent. "I know many of you have already heard rumors about the wedding being cancelled. I came here to confirm that this is true and to explain the reasons." A murmur went through the hall. "Today I found out that Richard systematically cheated on me during our relationship. I found out that one of the women he was involved with is pregnant, and I found out that he lied about many other things." The silence was now total. "I know many of you may think I should have tried to resolve this in private or after the wedding, but I believe it would be dishonest to myself and to him to pretend nothing happened." Some people began to clap discreetly. "I want to thank everyone who came here to celebrate with us. I'm sorry you wasted your time, but I hope you understand my decision." Mrs. Mary, the neighbor, shouted from the back of the hall, "You made the right decision, girl. A man who's no good doesn't change." Other voices joined in support. Rebecca was moved by the show of affection. "Thank you, everyone. The buffet is paid for, so feel free to stay and enjoy the food." When she stepped off the stage, she was surrounded by people offering support and congratulating her courage. Many women shared their own stories of betrayal and difficult relationships. "Rebecca," said Mrs. Dorothy, a 70-year-old lady who had been friends with her grandmother, "your grandmother Margaret would be proud of you today." "Thank you, Mrs. Dorothy. She always said you had grit. Today you proved it." Mr. Michael approached. "Becky, how are you?" "Fine. Better than I imagined." "You were amazing up there. Thank you, and thank you for all your help today." "No need to thank me." They were interrupted by Patrick. "Rebecca, sorry to bother you. There's a call for you." "Who is it?" "Richard. He wants to talk to you." "I have nothing more to say to him." "He said it's about the company. It seems important." Rebecca sighed and answered the phone. "Hello?" "Becky, thank you for answering. Look, I know I messed everything up, but I need to tell you something about Patrick." "Richard, I don't want to hear—" "Just listen for a minute. Patrick didn't do this to protect you. He wants to keep the company for himself." "What do you mean?" "He set all this up to destroy me and take my share of the company, and to get you too." Rebecca looked at Patrick, who was talking with David Anderson. "Richard, even if that's true, it doesn't change the fact that you betrayed me." I know, but you're being manipulated again." "I'm not being manipulated by anyone. I'm making my own decisions." "Becky, please, just look into what I'm saying. Patrick has falsified company documents. He wants to cut me out of everything." Rebecca was confused. Could it be that Patrick had other motives besides protecting her? "Richard, I'm hanging up now." "Wait, Becky, I really love you. I know I made terrible mistakes, but—" She hung up without letting him finish. But the conversation had planted a seed of doubt. Mr. Michael noticed her worried expression. "Is everything all right?" "I don't know. Richard said some things about Patrick." "What kind of things?" "That he set all this up to take the company." Michael thought for a moment. "Becky, even if that's true, Patrick still did the right thing by telling you about the betrayals." "That's true. And besides, his motivations don't change the fact that Richard betrayed you." "That's also true." "Then why are you worried?" "Because I don't want to be manipulated by anyone ever again." "I understand. How about we talk to Patrick directly?" "Good idea." They approached Patrick, who was helping David Anderson with some buffet matters. "Patrick, can I talk to you for a minute?" "Of course." They moved to a more private corner. "Richard just called me. He said some things about you and the company." Patrick sighed. "What did he say?" "That you set all this up to take his company." "Oh, is it true?" Patrick hesitated before answering. "Partly." The brutal honesty surprised Rebecca. "What do you mean, partly?" "It's true that I want to dissolve the partnership with Richard, and it's true that it will hurt him financially." And why do you want out? Because you can't work with someone without character. Clients are starting to find out about his behavior. It damages our reputation. Mr. Michael spoke up. That makes business sense. But, continued Patrick, that's not why I told you about the betrayals. I told you because you deserve to know. How can I be sure of that? Because if it were just about the company, I would have done it months ago. I waited until the last moment, hoping he would change his ways. Rebecca studied Patrick's face, looking for signs of lying. Patrick, can you make me a promise? What? If we start something, you'll never lie to me. Not to protect me, not for any other reason. I can promise that. Even if the truth hurts me, especially if it does. You've already suffered too much from lies. Mr. Michael observed the conversation in silence, realizing he was witnessing the beginning of something between Rebecca and Patrick. Well, he said, I think I'll let you two talk. Michael, you don't have to leave, said Rebecca. I really do. And Becky? Yes? You deserve to be happy with whoever it may be. Thank you. After Michael walked away, Patrick and Rebecca were alone. Patrick, I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I understand. But I would like to get to know you better, as friends first. I'd like that too. And no pressure, no expectations. Agreed. At that moment, Ashley approached. Becky, everyone is leaving. What do you want to do? Let's go home. It's been a long day. On the way back in David Anderson's car, the family talked about the day's events. Daughter, said David, I'm proud of you. Why? For having the courage to face the truth and make a difficult decision. It was the only thing I could do. It wasn't. Many women would have gone through with the wedding, even knowing about the betrayal. Why? Out of fear of loneliness, of what people think, of financial difficulties. I'd rather face all that than live a lie. Dr. Sarah turned around in the front seat. Rebecca, can I ask you a personal question? Of course, Mom. Do you still love Richard? Rebecca thought before answering. I think I loved the idea I had of him. But the real person, no, how can I love someone who disrespected me so much? That's a mature answer. 5 years learning who he really was. I just didn't want to see it. Ashley spoke up. Becky, were there signs before? Looking back now, yes, there were. He was possessive, controlling, always wanted to know where I was, who I was with. That's not love. It's insecurity, observed Dr. Sarah. And he never liked my friends, always made excuses not to come to family gatherings. Classic behavior from someone who wants to isolate the person, said David. How did you all know these things and I didn't? Because the person in the situation doesn't see it, explained Dr. Sarah. It's like that story about the frog in boiling water. How so? If you put a frog in hot water, it jumps right out. But if you put it in cold water and heat it up slowly, it doesn't notice and gets cooked. That's what happened to me. It was. But now you jumped out in time. When they got home, Rebecca went up to her room and looked at the wedding dress hanging in the closet. Just a few hours earlier, she had been radiant wearing that piece. Now she looked at it as a symbol of lost illusions. She picked up her phone and saw several messages from friends and relatives who had heard about the cancellation. Most offered support and praised her courage. One message in particular caught her attention. It was from Jennifer. Becky, thank you for being so understanding today. I know I don't deserve it, but you gave me strength to start over. I'm going back to Savannah tomorrow. I hope one day you can forgive me completely. Rebecca typed a reply. Jen, forgiveness is a process, but I want you to be happy, and for your baby to grow up in a healthy environment. If you need anything, you can reach out to me. The reply came quickly. Thank you. You're an angel. Rebecca smiled sadly. It was strange how the day that was supposed to be the worst of her life was turning into something liberating. She changed her clothes, putting on an old t-shirt and comfortable shorts. It was like she was taking off a costume and becoming herself again. Ashley knocked on the door. Can I come in? Of course. How are you? Better than I expected. Becky, can I tell you something? Sure. I never liked Richard. Why did you never say anything? Because you seemed happy, and I didn't want to ruin that. But I wasn't really happy, was I? No, you were resigned. What do you mean? You've always been a cheerful, spontaneous person. With Richard, you became more serious, more controlled. Rebecca thought about that. It was true. Over the last few years, she had changed her behavior a lot. Why didn't I notice this? Because gradual change is hard to notice, but those who've known you forever noticed. Who else noticed? Mom, Dad, Grandma Margaret before she passed away. Grandma said something? Yes. She said she was worried because you didn't smile like you used to. Rebecca felt her eyes well up. Her grandmother had always been very observant. Did she ever say anything specific about Richard? She said he treated you like you were his property, not his partner. Why did you never tell me? Because you were an adult, making your own decisions. And because sometimes people need to figure things out for themselves. You were protecting me again. In a way, yes. Rebecca hugged her sister. Thank you for today. For everything. You don't have to thank me. Sisters protect each other. Ash, can I ask you a question? Of course. Why did you invite Michael? Ashley smiled mischievously. Because I always thought you two had something special. And because I wanted you to remember what it's like to be treated with respect. You set this up? I didn't set anything up. I just created an opportunity. Ashley, Becky, did you see the difference between how Michael treated you today and how Richard treated you? I did. Michael respected you, supported you, offered help without wanting anything in return. Richard blamed you, manipulated you, and still tried to humiliate you. That's true. And Patrick also treated you with respect, even though he was interested in you. That's also true. So now you know how you deserve to be treated. That night, Rebecca had trouble sleeping. Not from sadness, but because her mind was processing everything that had happened. She felt like she was waking up from a long sleep. Around 2 a.m, she went down to the kitchen to get some water. She found her mother there, drinking chamomile tea. Can't sleep either? Asked Dr. Sarah. No. Too much to process. Do you want to talk? I do. They sat at the kitchen table, like they used to when Rebecca was a child and had nightmares. Mom, how did you know Dad was the right man? Because he made me laugh, and because I could be myself with him. Richard never made me laugh much. I noticed that. Why didn't you say anything? Honey, everyone has to figure out for themselves what makes them happy. I could give my opinion, but I couldn't live your life for you. But you were worried. Very. Especially when you started to change. How did I change? You became more anxious, more concerned with pleasing, always asking if you were doing the right things. It's true. I lived in fear of disappointing Richard. Honey, in a healthy relationship, you shouldn't be afraid of your partner. How did I not notice that? Because you're a good person who always wants to see the best in people. Richard took advantage of that. Mum, how did you manage to stay married for so many years without major problems? Who said we didn't have problems? Dr. Sarah smiled. We had plenty. The difference is we always talked about them. Did you fight? Of course. But we fought to resolve things, not to hurt each other. Richard and I never fought. He said that was a sign we were compatible. Actually, it's a sign that someone was being repressed, and that someone was you. Rebecca thought about all the times she had swallowed her opinions or desires to avoid conflict with Richard. Mom, do you think I'll be able to trust someone again? You will. But now you know what signs to look for. What signs? Honesty, respect, the ability to talk about problems. And most importantly, someone who accepts you for who you are. Patrick seems to have those qualities. Seems. But don't rush. You just got out of a long relationship. That's true. And remember, you don't need a man to be happy. You're already complete on your own. Sometimes I feel incomplete. That's normal. But the right person should add to your life, not complete it. They talked until almost dawn. When Rebecca finally went back to her room, She felt lighter and more confident. The next morning, she woke up to the sound of the phone ringing. It was Patrick. "Good morning, Becky. How did you sleep?" "Not very well, but I'm feeling better." "That's good. Look, I wanted to tell you something. Richard showed up at the office this morning." "What did he want?" "To discuss the terms of our partnership dissolution, and he made me an offer." "What kind of offer?" "He offered to sell me his share of the company for well below market price." "Why?" "He said he wants to leave Atlanta, start over somewhere else." "And are you going to accept?" "It depends. I wanted to know how you feel about it." "Why does my opinion matter?" "Because if this money comes from guilt or manipulation, I don't want it." Patrick's consideration touched Rebecca. "I think you should accept. It's a professional opportunity." "Are you sure?" "I am. Richard is doing this because he knows he messed up. Let him deal with his guilt his own way." "Okay, I'll accept then." "Patrick?" "Yes?" "Thank you for asking my opinion. Richard never did that. Your opinions are important to me." So after the call, Rebecca went down for breakfast. The family was gathered in the kitchen talking about the day's plans. "Good morning, sleepyhead," joked Ashley. "Good morning to you too." "How are you feeling?" asked David. "Good. Confused, but good." "Confused how?" "It's strange. Yesterday at this time I was getting ready to get married. Today I'm free." "Is it a good feeling or a bad one?" asked Dr. Sarah. "Good. Definitely good." David smiled. "I'm glad to hear that." "Dad, thank you for supporting me yesterday. I know it was difficult." "Honey, it wasn't difficult. It was natural. Parents protect their children. Even after losing all that money. Rebecca, money can be earned again, but if you had married unhappy, that would have been irreversible." At that moment, the home phone rang. It was Mr. Michael. "Hello?" answered Ashley. "Hi, Ashley. It's Michael. Can I speak with Rebecca?" "Of course. Becky, it's for you," Rebecca answered. Hi, Michael." "Hi, how are you?" "Well, thank you. And you?" "Well, too. Look, I wanted to know if you'd like to have lunch with me today to talk." "Talk about what?" "About you. About us. About what happened yesterday." Rebecca looked at her family, who pretended not to be paying attention. "Michael, I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why?" "Because I just got out of a long relationship. I don't want to confuse things." "I understand, but I'm not proposing a relationship. I just want to talk with a friend." "Are you sure?" "I am. No pressure, no expectations." "Okay. Where?" "How about that diner near the college? Around noon." "Deal." After hanging up, Ashley couldn't contain herself. "So, are you going to see him?" "I'm going to have lunch. As friends." "Of course," said Ashley with a sarcastic smile. "Ashley, I'm serious." "I know, but sometimes the best things start as friendship." Dr. Sarah intervened. "Ashley, let your sister breathe." "Mom, I'm just happy because she's considering other options." "What other options?" asked David, joining the conversation. "Dad, there are no options. I'm just talking with a friend." "Good, because you need time to get to know yourself again." "What do you mean?" "Honey, you spent 5 years molding yourself to please Richard. Now you need to rediscover who you are when you're not trying to please anyone." David Anderson's observation was profound and made Rebecca Anderson think. "That's true. I don't even know what my real preferences are anymore." "Like what?" asked Ashley. "Music, movies, food. Richard always chose everything." "So now it's time to discover your own preferences," said Dr. Sarah Anderson. "Where do I start?" "With what you feel like doing today," suggested David Anderson. Rebecca thought, "I want to go to the library. I always loved reading, but Richard said it was a waste of time." "Then go," said Ashley, "before lunch with Michael." "Good idea." Rebecca got ready and went to the public library. It was a place she used to frequent before meeting Richard, but she had stopped going because he always made other plans. Walking through the aisles, she rediscovered the pleasure of choosing books by her own criteria. She picked a national novel, a book of short stories and one about small business management. The librarian, Mrs. Jenkins, greeted her. "Rebecca, long time no see. I heard you were getting married yesterday. I was supposed to get married, but I changed my mind. That's good. I mean, if you changed your mind, it's because it wasn't right. Exactly. And now will you start coming back to the library? Yes, I will. I missed this place. Wonderful. We've received many new books. Rebecca spent an hour at the library, feeling more like herself than she had in years. It was incredible how simple activities could be so pleasurable when done by choice. On her way to meet Michael, she reflected on how she had changed without realizing it. How many things had she stopped doing because of Richard's influence? Michael was already at the diner when she arrived, reading a newspaper and drinking coffee. "Hi," she approached. "Hi." He stood up to greet her. "How are you?" "Good. I went to the library today." "Oh, you always loved reading. I remember in college you always had a book in your hand." "That's right. I stopped reading in recent years." "Why?" "Richard thought it was a waste of time." Michael made a face. "That's ridiculous. Reading is never a waste of time." They sat down and ordered lunch. The conversation flowed naturally, as if the years of separation hadn't existed. "Michael, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did we break up in college?" Michael smiled melancholically. "You don't remember?" "I vaguely remember. Something about us going different ways." "That's right. I was going to do my master's in Washington, D.C. You wanted to stay here. We thought a long-distance relationship wouldn't work. It was a mature decision. It was, but I always wondered if we weren't foolish." "Why?" "Because what we had was special. We were best friends as well as boyfriend and girlfriend." "That's true. And you? Have you ever thought about it?" "Lately, yes. Especially comparing it to what I had with Richard." "How so?" "With you, I could be myself. With Richard, I always felt like I had to play a role." "What role?" "The perfect fiancé. Always put together, always agreeable, always available." That must have been exhausting. It was, but I thought that was what a relationship was. It's not. A relationship is a partnership, not a performance. The phrase echoed in Rebecca's mind. That was exactly what was missing with Richard. Partnership. "Michael, can I be honest with you? Please. I was afraid to come to lunch with you. Why? Because I'm afraid of being too vulnerable and making wrong decisions." "And what are you afraid of, specifically?" "Of getting involved with someone too quickly, of confusing gratitude with attraction." "I understand perfectly. And you? What do you want from this meeting?" Michael thought before answering. "Honestly, I want to reconnect with a person who was very important to me. Whether that will lead to something romantic, I don't know, but I want to find out." "That's an honest answer. It's the least you deserve." "Michael, I'll be direct. I'm not ready for a relationship right now." "I imagined that. But I'd like to stay in touch. Maybe go out a few times, no strings attached." "That would be perfect." "And if at any point I feel like it's getting heavy or pressured, can I speak up?" "You can, and should." "Thank you for understanding." "Rebecca, can I give you some advice?" "Of course. Don't rush into anything. You just got out of a difficult situation. Take this time to rediscover who you are." That's exactly what my father said today. He's right, and remember, you don't need anyone to be complete. Everyone's been telling me that today. Because it's true, and because we want you to be happy with yourself first. After lunch, they walked through the streets of historic downtown Charleston. It was comforting to be with someone who'd known her for so long. "Michael, can I ask a personal question?" "Of course. Did you have any serious relationships after me?" "I did, twice." "What happened?" "The first time the woman wanted to get married too quickly. I wasn't ready." "And the second?" "The second was really nice, but we didn't have that special connection, you know." "I know. And I always compared it to what we had." "That's complicated." "Yeah. But now I understand that every relationship is unique." "That's true." They stopped at a square and sat on a bench. "Becky, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "When Ashley invited me to the wedding, I almost didn't come." "Why?" Because I was afraid I'd get emotional seeing you marry someone else. And why did you come? Curiosity, and because I wanted to make sure you were happy. And when you saw me yesterday before finding out about the betrayal, did you think I was happy? Michael hesitated. To be honest, no. What do you mean? You were radiant, but there was something in your eyes, an anxiety, a tiredness. Everyone noticed that except me. When we're in the middle of a situation, it's hard to have perspective. At that moment, Rebecca's phone rang. It was Patrick. Sorry, Michael, it's Patrick. Answer it. Hello? Hi, Becky. How's lunch? It's good. Why? Just wanted to know if you were okay. I am. Did something happen? Richard came by again, asked if I knew where you were. And you said? Said it was none of his business. Thank you. Becky, he's acting strange, kind of desperate. Strange how? Talking nonsense about winning you back, about proving he's changed. Rebecca became worried. Patrick, do you think he might do something? I don't know, but I think you should be careful. Okay, thank you for letting me know. You're welcome. Oh, and Becky. Yes? If you need anything, call me. Anytime. Thank you. After hanging up, Michael noticed her concern. Any problems? Richard's been following me. Patrick said he's acting strange. Want me to walk you home? No need, but thank you for offering. Becky, if he starts bothering you, you come find me, okay? Okay. I'm serious. Don't accept obsessive behavior. I know. My family's keeping an eye out too. They walked back to downtown, where Michael had parked his car. Becky, I had a really nice time today. Me too. Can we do this again soon? We can, but as friends. As friends. He drove her home. At the door, she turned. Michael, thank you for today. It was exactly what I needed. For what? For a normal conversation. No drama, no pressure. It'll always be like that with me. Thank you. She went inside to find her family eager to hear about the date. So? Asked Ashley immediately. It was good. We talked a lot. Just talked? Teased her sister. We just talked, Ashley. Like two civilized adults. David Anderson smiled. That's good. That's how it should be. Dad, Patrick called. Said Richard's been looking for me. David Anderson's expression changed immediately. Looking how? He showed up at the office asking where I was. Patrick said he seemed strange. Strange how? Desperate, talking about winning me back. Dr. Sarah was concerned. Honey, do you think he could be dangerous? I don't know. I've never seen Richard desperate. Better safe than sorry, said David Anderson. I'll call Colonel Thompson. Dad, you don't need to. Yes, I do. I want to make it clear that if his son bothers you, he'll have to deal with me. David Anderson picked up the phone and dialed. The conversation was tense but polite. He made it clear the family was worried about Richard's behavior. What did he say? Asked Dr. Sarah. Said he'd talked to Richard, but he seemed surprised when I told him about his behavior. Do you think his parents don't know how he's reacting? Maybe not. The kid must be hiding his desperation. That night during dinner, the family discussed next steps. Honey, said David Anderson, what are you going to do professionally now? What do you mean? You were planning to move to Atlanta after the wedding, to work with Richard. That's true, I'll have to rethink everything. How about staying right here, suggested Ashley. Charleston is growing, there's room for a competent business manager. I don't know, I've always dreamed of a bigger city. But now you have other priorities, observed Dr. Sarah. What priorities? Rebuilding your life, and that's easier near family. That's true. David Anderson had an idea. Honey, how about starting your own business? What kind of business? Business consulting. You have the knowledge and experience. I don't know if I have the capital for that. Grandma's inheritance could help. Rebecca thought about the suggestion. It was really an interesting possibility. It would be a way to use my knowledge without depending on anyone. Exactly. And you could choose your clients, your hours. I'll think about it. At that moment, the phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, answered Ashley. May I speak with Rebecca? Who, may I ask, is calling? It's Richard. Ashley looked at her sister, who shook her head no. She doesn't want to talk to you. Please, it's important. No. Ashley, please. Just 5 minutes. No, Richard. Leave her alone. I need to explain something. You don't need to explain anything. There's been enough explaining already, Richard insisted, but Ashley hung up the phone. The nerve of that man, she murmured. What did he want? Asked Rebecca. To talk to you. Said he needed to explain some things. There's nothing left to explain. The phone rang again. This time David Anderson answered. Richard, stop calling here. Mr. David, I need to speak with Rebecca. It's about something important. What? I found out who really set everything up against me. David Anderson looked at the family in disbelief. What kind of story is that? Patrick didn't tell the whole truth. There's a lot more involved. Richard, you've lied too much already. No one believes you anymore. But it's true, I can prove it. I'm not interested in your proof. Stop bothering my daughter. Mr. David, please. David Anderson slammed the phone down. What kind of nonsense is this? He said, irritated. He's trying to make up some story to get out of trouble, observed Dr. Sarah. Or he's trying to confuse me, said Rebecca. The phone rang for the 3rd time. Now Dr. Sarah answered. Richard Thompson, if you call here one more time, we will go to the police. Doctor, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You betrayed my daughter, got caught, and now you're desperately trying to turn things around. That's not it. That's exactly it. And if you don't stop bothering us, you're going to have serious problems. She hung up and took the phone off the hook. There. Now he can't call anymore. Mom, thank you. Honey, a man who can't take no for an answer can be dangerous. Better not give him a chance. That night, Rebecca had trouble sleeping again. But this time it was because of worry about Richard's behavior, not sadness. Around midnight she heard a noise on the street. She looked out the window and saw a car parked in front of the house. She couldn't tell if it was Richard's, but she stayed alert. The car stayed there for about 20 minutes, then left. The next day she told the family about the suspicious car. Honey, are you sure it was him? Asked David. No, it was dark, but the timing was suspicious. I'll keep an eye out tonight, David decided. Dad, you don't have to... Yes, I do. If it's Richard, I'm going to have a serious talk with him. During the day, Rebecca tried to keep busy planning her possible consulting business. She researched online about how to start an LLC, what kind of services she could offer, how to promote her work. In the afternoon, she got a call from Patrick. Hi, Becky. How are you? Fine. And you? Fine, too. Look, I have some news. Good or bad? Good. I closed the deal with Richard. He sold me his share of the company. Congratulations. Thank you. But there's something else. What? He asked a strange question before signing the papers. What question? He asked if I knew where you were living now. Rebecca was alarmed. What did you say? I said it was none of my business or his, but I thought the question was strange. Patrick, I think he came by here last night. What do you mean? There was a car parked in front of the house for a long time. Becky, this is serious. You have to be careful. I know. My family is keeping an eye out. Do you want me to come over tonight? To stand guard? No need. My dad said he'll be watching. If you change your mind, call me. Thank you. And Becky? Yes? Now that I'm not his partner anymore, I can say that I always thought he was a bit unhinged when he doesn't get what he wants. What do you mean? He has episodes of anger, of obsession. At work, when a client didn't accept one of his projects, he would become obsessed with proving he was right. I never noticed that. Because with you, he controlled himself more. But now that he's lost control of the situation, the conversation left Rebecca even more worried. She was starting to realize that she didn't know Richard as well as she thought. That night, David stayed awake in the living room watching the street. Around 2 in the morning, the same car appeared again. This time, David went outside and confronted the driver. It was Richard. "What are you doing here, boy?" asked David, knocking on the car window. Richard rolled down the window, visibly agitated. "Mr. David, I just wanted to talk to Rebecca. At this time of night? This is stalking." It's not stalking, it's concern. Concern about what? Patrick is manipulating her. She doesn't know everything he's done. Richard, leave now or I'll call the police. Mr. David, you don't understand. Patrick planned all this. He wants to destroy my life to be with Rebecca. So what? Even if that's true, what you did to her doesn't justify it. I can explain everything. I don't want your explanations. I want you to leave here and stop bothering my daughter. But I love her. Love isn't obsession, son. Love is respect. David gave a firm tap on the car hood. Now get going, and if I see you here again, you'll have serious trouble with me. Richard started the car and left, but his expression was one of anger, not regret. The next day, David told Dr. Sarah about the confrontation. David, this is getting dangerous, she said. I know. I'll call Colonel Thompson again. And if that doesn't work, we'll have to go to the police station for sure. When Rebecca woke up and heard about the incident, she felt torn between gratitude for her father and worry about the escalating situation. Dad, thank you for protecting me. But I don't want you to put yourself at risk. Daughter, he's just a spoiled brat. He won't do anything to me. What if he's armed? A man like Richard doesn't have the courage for physical violence. He's too much of a coward. How can you be so sure? Because I've dealt with people like him in my life, all cocky and cowardly when they're contradicted. Even so, Dr. Sarah insisted they seek legal help. Let's file a police report for harassment and threats. Mom, he didn't threaten me directly. Daughter, standing in front of the house in the middle of the night is an implicit threat. They went to the police station and filed the report. The officer was attentive and explained the procedures. Ma'am, unfortunately, we can't do much until there's a direct threat or physical assault, explained the officer. But we'll give the young man a verbal warning. What if he doesn't stop? Asked David Anderson. Then we can request a protective order. What kind of order? Prohibition from approaching your daughter, your home, workplace. How long does that take? A few days. It depends on the judge. When they left the police station, Rebecca was calmer. At least now there's an official record, she said. Yes, and if he continues, the consequences will be more serious, agreed Dr. Sarah. That afternoon, Colonel Thompson called David Anderson. David, I need to speak with you. It's about Richard. What about him? May I come to your house? I'd prefer to talk in person. You may come. An hour later, Colonel Thompson arrived at the Anderson home, visibly worried. David, Mrs. Wilson and I didn't know about Richard's behavior. How could you not know? He's been stalking my daughter for 3 days. He told us you weren't letting him explain himself, that you'd forbidden any contact. And that justifies him standing in front of the house in the middle of the night. No, that's why I'm here. Colonel Thompson turned to Rebecca. Young lady, I apologize for my son's behavior. This isn't how he was raised. Thank you, Colonel. Richard is going through a difficult time, but that doesn't justify stalking you. What will you do? We've already taken measures. He'll spend some time at his uncle's house in Washington, D.C. For how long? As long as necessary for him to calm down and reflect on the mistakes he's made. David Anderson spoke up. Colonel, with all due respect, your son needs professional help. How so? His behavior isn't normal. It could evolve into something worse. David is right, agreed Dr. Sarah. As a doctor, I can say romantic obsession can become dangerous. Colonel Thompson sighed. You think he needs a psychologist? I think he needs a psychiatrist, said Dr. Sarah frankly. He might have some disorder that requires medication. Oh my, I didn't imagine it was so serious. Colonel, said Rebecca, I don't want to harm Richard. I just want him to leave me alone. And he will. I guarantee that. What if he doesn't want to go to Washington, D.C.? He will. We cut his credit card and allowance. If he wants money, he'll have to accept our conditions. Richard's parents' strategy seemed effective. In the following days, he no longer appeared at the Anderson home. Rebecca took advantage of the peace to focus on her professional plans. With the help of Mr. Michael, who offered free legal consulting, she began the process of opening her business. Becky, Have you thought of a name for the consulting firm? Asked Michael during one of their conversations. Not yet. What kind of name would be good? Something that conveys trust and professionalism. Maybe using your last name. Anderson Consulting? Why not? It's clean, direct, easy to remember. I like it. They were having coffee at a downtown bakery, discussing the legal aspects of starting the business. Michael, can I ask you a personal question? Of course. Why are you helping me so much? Without charging anything, without expecting anything. Because I'm fond of you, and because I believe in your potential. Just that? And because, well, because maybe I'm hoping that in the future we could be something more than friends. Michael's honesty always pleasantly surprised her. I like your honesty. It's better to be clear about intentions, don't you think? Much better. Richard was never direct about anything. Can I ask you a question now? Of course. How are you feeling about relationships in general? Confused, but less scared than a week ago. That's progress. Yes, and both of you, you and Patrick, are helping me a lot. How so, both of us? You're being respectful, honest, with no pressure. It's showing me how it's possible to have a healthy relationship. Is Patrick also courting you? Not exactly, but he shows interest in a respectful way. And you, do you have a preference between us? Rebecca thought before answering. Not yet, you're very different people, but you both have qualities I admire. May I ask what qualities? You're intellectual, calm. You always make me think. Patrick is more practical, determined. He makes me feel protected. Those are important things in relationships. They are. But I'm still learning what my real needs are. Don't rush to decide anything. I won't. At that moment, Patrick appeared at the bakery. It was a coincidence, but it created a slightly awkward situation. Hi, folks, he approached. Can I join you? Of course, said Rebecca. Patrick sat down, creating an interesting triangle. The three knew each other from the circumstances of the cancelled wedding, but it was the first time they were together socially. How are things? Asked Patrick. We were discussing Rebecca's consulting business, explained Michael. That's great. How's it going? Well, Michael is helping me with the legal part. If you need help with the business side, I can contribute too, offered Patrick. Thank you. I might actually need it. The situation was surreal. Two men interested in her offering professional help with no competition or apparent jealousy. Don't you two find this situation strange? Rebecca asked suddenly. What situation? Asked Michael. The three of us here, knowing that you're both interested in me. Patrick laughed. It's unusual, but not strange. We're all adults. And besides, Michael added, there's no rush for you to decide anything. We can be friends in the meantime. You're not jealous of each other? No, said Patrick. Michael seems like a good guy. If you choose him, I'll be sad, but I'll accept it. I feel the same way, Michael agreed. Rebecca was impressed by their maturity. This is very different from what I was used to. How so? Asked Patrick. Richard was extremely possessive. He didn't like me talking to other men, even if they were just friends. That's not love, it's insecurity, observed Michael. Or an attempt at control, added Patrick. You both seem very self-assured. We're old enough for that, said Michael, and have enough experience to know that a relationship isn't about possession. It's a partnership, Patrick finished. The conversation was interrupted by Rebecca's phone. It was Ashley. Becky, where are you? At the downtown bakery. Why? Richard is back. He's here at the house trying to talk to Dad. Rebecca paled. What? But his father said he was going to Washington, D.C. Well, he's here, and he's agitated. I'm coming home. No, Dad said not to come. He doesn't want you to see Richard. Then what should I do? Stay there. Dad already called Colonel Thompson and the police station. Ashley, be careful. I'm locked in the bedroom with Mom. Dad is handling the situation. Rebecca hung up and told Michael and Patrick what was happening. Let's go there, Patrick said immediately. No, Ashley told me not to go. But we can't let your father handle this alone, Michael argued. I can call him and see how things are. She called David Anderson. Dad, how's the situation? Honey, where are you? At the downtown bakery. Good. Stay there. Richard is here wanting to talk to you, but I've already called the police station. How is he? Agitated, talking nonsense about a conspiracy against him. What kind of things? That Patrick set everything up, that you're being manipulated, that he can prove his innocence. Dad, be careful. I am. The patrol car should be arriving soon. Call me when everything is settled. Okay. While waiting for news, the three stayed at the bakery talking about the situation. Patrick, said Rebecca, did you really set something up against Richard? Not in the way he's suggesting. I gathered evidence of the betrayals and chose the moment to reveal them. But the betrayals happened, I didn't make them up. And why did you wait so long? Because I hoped he would change on his own. Only when I realized he was planning to get married anyway did I decide to act. Michael spoke up. Even if Patrick had ulterior motives, that doesn't justify Richard's behavior. That's true, agreed Rebecca. He's trying to make me feel guilty for discovering the truth. The phone rang again. It was David Anderson. Honey, we've taken care of it. The police station took Richard away. What do you mean, took him away? He was so agitated that the officer thought it best to take him for a psychiatric evaluation. Wow. Colonel Thompson arrived shortly after and confirmed that Richard wasn't taking the medication the psychiatrist had prescribed. He was in psychiatric treatment? Apparently, yes. But he stopped taking the medication when he started planning the wedding. Why? He said he wanted to be normal to get married. Rebecca was shocked by the revelations. Richard had hidden his psychiatric treatment from her. Dad, can I come home now? Yes. Everything is calm. When she got home, Rebecca found the family visibly shaken. How are you all? Fine. But it was scary, said Ashley. He was shouting, making threats. What kind of threats? He said he would prove you were being manipulated even if it was the last thing he did, reported Dr. Sarah Anderson. That's a direct threat, observed Michael, who had accompanied Rebecca. That's what the officer said, confirmed David Anderson. That's why they decided to admit him for evaluation. For how long? At least 72 hours. After that, it depends on the medical report. That night, the Anderson family had a serious conversation about the future. Honey, said David Anderson, maybe it's best for you to leave town for a while. Why? Until Richard stabilizes, or until we can get a permanent protective order. I'm not leaving my city because of him. Rebecca, be sensible, pleaded Dr. Sarah Anderson. The man is clearly unstable. And if I leave, when do I come back? After how long? We don't know, admitted David Anderson. Then I'm not leaving. I won't let him control my life again. Patrick, who had stayed for dinner, spoke up. Becky, how about a middle ground? What do you mean? You stay in the city, but increase your precautions. Don't go out alone. Avoid isolated places. And you can stay here at the house for a few days, suggested Ashley. Or at my house, offered Dr. Sarah Anderson. I have a better security system. Rebecca thought about the options. Okay, I'll be more careful, but I won't hide. That's a sensible decision, approved Michael. In the following days, Rebecca maintained her routine, but always accompanied. Michael or Patrick took turns accompanying her to appointments related to the opening of the business. Becky, said Patrick during one of these check-ins, can I ask you something? Of course. How are you handling all this emotionally? Better than I expected. It's like I'm waking up from a dream. A bad dream? A confusing dream. I thought I was happy, but it was just comfort. Comfort. The feeling of having someone, of following a social script. Dating, engagement, marriage. I understand. Now I'm discovering what truly makes me happy. And what makes you happy? Freedom to make my own decisions, being able to read, being able to choose activities, being able to express opinions. Basic things that should be natural in any relationship. Exactly. And that's why I'm being so careful now. That's smart. Patrick, can I be direct with you? Please. You've been incredible to me. Respectful, protective, honest. Thank you. But I'm still learning to trust my own feelings. I understand perfectly, and I don't want you waiting for me indefinitely. Becky, I'm not waiting in the sense of putting my life on pause. I'm living normally but open to what might happen between us. That's a healthy way to handle it. It's how I see relationships now. They should add to life, not dominate it. The conversation was interrupted by a call from Colonel Thompson. Rebecca, can I speak with you? Of course, Colonel. It's about Richard. The psychiatrist gave the report. What did he say? Richard has bipolar disorder and was in a manic phase when he came looking for you. That explains the obsessive behavior. Exactly, but now he's medicated and stabilized. And what's his situation? He'll stay hospitalized another week for medication adjustment. Then he'll return home, but under strict supervision. And the matter of him approaching? He signed an agreement not to contact you. If he breaks it, he'll go back to involuntary commitment. Thank you for informing me. Rebecca, can I ask you something? Of course. If he tries to contact you, even if he seems calm, call me immediately. You can count on it. After the call, Rebecca felt more relieved. Finally, there was a medical explanation for Richard's behavior and concrete measures for her protection. How are you feeling? Asked Patrick. Relieved and a little guilty. Guilty why? For not realizing he had a psychiatric problem. Becky, he hid that from you, and you're not a doctor. That's true. Besides, mental illness explains behavior, but it doesn't justify betrayal. That's also true. You did the right thing by distancing yourself from him. Thank you for saying that. With Richard's situation stabilized, Rebecca could focus completely on her new projects. The consulting firm was almost ready to operate, and she had gotten 2 potential clients. Becky, said Michael during one of their meetings, you've been radiant lately. Really? Yes. You seem like a completely different person from the one I met at the wedding. It's because I'm being myself again. What were you like before? More decisive, more cheerful, more free. I like this version of you. I'm liking it too. They were having dinner at a simple restaurant, talking about Rebecca's future plans. Michael, can I tell you something? Of course. I'm starting to feel like I can trust my feelings again. That's wonderful. And I'm starting to feel sure about some things. What kind of things? About what I want professionally, personally, and romantically, Rebecca smiled. I'm still discovering that. No rush. But I can tell you that you've been very important in this process. How so? You show me every day what it's like to be treated with respect and affection, without pressure. It's the least you deserve. It's more than I was used to receiving. At that moment, she made an impulsive decision. Michael, would you like to go to the movies with me tomorrow? Of course. As friends? As people getting to know each other better. I like that definition. Me too. The next day, Rebecca got ready for the date with a joy she hadn't felt in years. She was rediscovering the pleasure of simple things, choosing her own clothes, deciding where to go, sharing opinions about the movie. You look beautiful, Michael said when he saw her. Thank you. I feel beautiful. It's different, isn't it? Very different. They watched a romantic comedy and left the theater laughing. Did you like the movie? Michael asked. I loved it. It's been a long time since I laughed so much. Why? Richard didn't like comedies. He said they were for uncultured people. What nonsense. Laughing is one of the best things in life. I agree. As they walked through the square after the movie, Rebecca realized she felt completely relaxed and happy. Michael, can I ask you something? Of course. How are you so patient? What do you mean? With this whole situation, I know you're interested in me, but you never pressure me, never get impatient. Because I've learned that the best things take time to develop. How did you learn that? With age, from past relationships, and because I truly care about you. Caring means being patient. It means wanting you to be happy, even if it's not with me. The answer touched Rebecca deeply. Thank you for being like that. No need to thank me. It's who I am. That night when she got home, Rebecca was thoughtful. How was the date? Ashley asked, curious. It was perfect. Perfect how? Natural. No pressure. Fun. Are you in love? I'm learning to tell the difference between passion and admiration. What do you mean? With Richard, it was passion. Intense, blind, somewhat obsessive. With Michael, it's admiration. Gradual, conscious, healthy. And which is better? Admiration. It's more solid, more real. And Patrick? For Patrick, I feel gratitude and affection, but I don't know if it's romantic yet. You'll have to choose between them at some point. I will, but not now. Why not? Because I want to be sure I'm choosing for the right reasons. A week later, Rebecca finally launched her consulting business. It was a small party at her parents' house, with close friends and potential clients. I'm very proud of you, Dr. Sarah said during the party. Thank you, Mum. You've become a strong, independent woman. I always was. I was just hidden for a few years. That's true, Patrick approached. Congratulations, businesswoman. Thank you. And thank you for all your help. It was my pleasure. And if you need anything else... Actually, I do. What? I need you to be honest with me about one thing. Of course. Do you still have romantic feelings for me? Patrick thought before answering. I do, but I've realized they might not be returned in the same way. What do you mean? You treat me with affection, but I see you have a special connection with Michael. Is it that obvious? To those who are watching, yes. And how do you feel about that? Sad, but not resentful. Michael is a good guy. If he makes you happy, I'll root for you both. Patrick, you're amazing. I'm realistic, and I want you to be happy. Can we still be friends? Of course, but I might need some time to adjust. I understand completely. The conversation with Patrick was liberating for Rebecca. She finally admitted to herself that her feelings for Michael were deeper. Later that night, when all the guests had left, Rebecca found herself alone with Michael in the garden of the house. Michael, I also need to be honest with you about something. I'm listening. I think I'm falling in love with you. Michael smiled, but cautiously. And how do you feel about that? Scared, but happy. Scared why? Because it's different from anything I've ever felt before. It's calmer, safer, but at the same time more intense. I understand. And you? How do you feel? In love too. For a long time, actually. Really? Since college. I never completely stopped thinking about you. Why did you never try to look for me? Because you were with someone else, and I respected that. And now you're free. And so am I. They fell silent for a moment, processing the mutual confession. Michael, I want to try a relationship with you, but with a few conditions. What conditions? That it's always based on honesty, that we can talk about everything, and that I keep my independence. Those are conditions any healthy relationship should have. It's true, but I need to say it out loud. Said and accepted. And one more thing. What? I want to take it slow. Very slow. How much time do you need? I don't know. Maybe months. I have all the time in the world. Rebecca moved closer to him, and for the first time in months, kissed someone of her own free will, without pressure, without expectations. It was a soft, tender kiss, full of promises. How was it? Asked Michael when they parted. Perfect, like everything should be between two people who like each other. In the following months, Rebecca and Michael developed a gradual and solid relationship. They met a few times a week, always respecting the space she had asked for. Rebecca's consulting firm prospered quickly. Her first clients were satisfied and referred her to other business owners. Within 6 months, she already had a full schedule and was thinking of hiring an assistant. Becky, said David during a family dinner, I'm impressed with your company's success. Thank you, Dad. I think I found my calling. You were always good with business. You just needed the confidence to show it. Richard never encouraged me to work. Because he was afraid of your competence, observed Dr. Sarah. Maybe, but that doesn't matter anymore. How is he, by the way? Asked Ashley. According to Colonel Thompson, he's fine, taking medication regularly and going to therapy. And has he tried to make contact? No. He seems to have understood it's over for good. Good, said David. By the way, Rebecca continued, I got some interesting news about him. What news? He's getting married. Everyone was surprised. Married? To whom? Asked Ashley. To a young lady from Washington, D.C. he met during treatment. She also has bipolar disorder. Wow, murmured Dr. Sarah. The colonel said they understand each other very well, that she helps him stay stable. Good for him, said David surprisingly. That's what I think too. Everyone deserves to be happy. You don't feel anything? Jealousy? Longing? Relief? I feel relief knowing he found someone suitable for him. Rebecca's emotional maturity impressed the whole family. She had truly moved on from the previous relationship and built a new life. And Michael? Asked Dr. Sarah. How are you two? Good. Very good. We've been officially dating for 3 months. And how is it different? It's like breathing freely after holding your breath for a long time. What a beautiful description, smiled Ashley. It's the truth. With Michael, I can be completely myself. And him with you. Him too. There are no games, no manipulation, no control. That's how a relationship should be, observed David. That night, Rebecca called Michael. Hi, love. Hi, beautiful. How was the family dinner? Great. I told them about us. And what was the reaction? Total approval. They adore you. I adore your family too. Michael, can I invite you somewhere? Of course. Do you want to travel with me this weekend? Where to? Savannah. I've always wanted to go there. I'd love to, but what? Separate rooms. Rebecca laughed. Michael, we've been dating for 3 months. I think we can share a room. Are you sure? I don't want to pressure you. I'm sure. I'm ready for this step. Then let's go to Savannah. The trip was a milestone in their relationship. Rebecca finally felt completely comfortable with physical intimacy, something that had been complicated with Richard. How are you feeling? Asked Michael the next morning as they had breakfast at the inn. Happy, complete, as if all the pieces of my life were finally falling into place. That's good. I feel the same way. Michael, can I tell you something? Always. Last night was the first time I made love for pleasure, not out of obligation. Michael was touched by the confession. Thank you for trusting me like that. Thank you for showing me how good it can be. They spent the weekend exploring Savannah, talking about everything, planning the future. Becky, can I ask you a serious question? Of course. Can you see yourself getting married again someday? I can, but only if it's with the right person. And how do you know who the right person is? Someone who makes me laugh, who respects me, who shares dreams with me. Someone who makes me want to be a better person. That's a beautiful description. It's based on you. Michael stopped walking and looked at her. Rebecca, I love you. I love you too, Michael. It was the first time they exchanged declarations of love, and both felt it was completely true. 6 months later, during a birthday party for David, Michael asked Rebecca to marry him, but in a way completely different from how Richard had done it. Beck, he approached her during the party. Can I talk with you for a minute? Sure. They went out to the garden where all the family and friends were. Rebecca, 2 years ago you went through the worst day that should have been the best of your life. It's true. Today I want to offer you the chance to turn that bad experience into something wonderful. He knelt down and took a box out of his pocket. Will you marry me? The right way, at the right time, for the right reasons? Rebecca looked around and saw everyone she loved, her parents, Ashley, true friends. Then she looked at Michael, the man who had helped her rediscover who she really was. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The proposal was followed by a spontaneous celebration. Everyone present celebrated genuinely, without pretense or social obligations. Daughter, said David, hugging her, now you're going to marry the right man. Thank you for protecting me until I figured that out for myself. It's what any father would do. Dr. Sarah approached. "Michael, welcome officially to the family." "Thank you. I promise to take good care of her." "You don't need to promise. We already see how you treat her." Patrick, who had become a true friend after getting over his romantic feelings, was also there. "Congratulations, you two. You deserve all the happiness in the world." "Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for everything you did." "I did what was right, and I'm happy seeing you happy." "How's your love life?" "Good. I met a wonderful girl last month. A lawyer, too." "How wonderful." "And you know what's best? I learned from you two what a healthy relationship should be like." Rebecca and Michael's wedding was set for a year later, enough time to plan everything calmly and without pressure. This time, the preparations were completely different. Rebecca participated in every decision, chose exactly what she wanted, without worrying about other people's opinions. "How do you feel?" asked Ashley on the morning of the wedding. "Calm, happy, certain. No nerves. Zero. It's like I'm going to meet my best friend to start an adventure together." What a beautiful definition of marriage. It's what it should always be. This time, Rebecca wore a simple and elegant dress, which she chose because it made her feel beautiful, not because it impressed others. The ceremony was at the same Grace Cathedral, but now she walked to the altar with confidence and genuine joy. "Ready?" asked David Anderson, before giving her away. "More than ready. Now you're truly marrying for love. For love, and by conscious choice." When she saw Michael waiting at the altar, Rebecca was absolutely certain she was doing the right thing. He smiled with eyes full of happy tears. "How are you?" he asked when she reached the altar. "Perfect. And you?" "The happiest man in the world." The ceremony was emotional, but serene. Everyone present noticed the difference. This time, it was a real marriage, based on true love. "I, Michael, take you, Rebecca, to be my wife. I promise to love you, respect you, and support you in all your dreams." "I, Rebecca, take you, Michael, to be my husband. I promise to love you, respect you, and build with you a life based on truth and companionship." When the priest declared them husband and wife, the kiss was natural, tender, full of real promises. The reception was a true celebration, with people who truly cared about the couple. "Now indeed," said Dr. Sarah Anderson during the speech, "my daughter is married to someone who deserves her." "And I am married to the most amazing woman in the world," replied Michael. Years passed, and Rebecca built a prosperous and happy life. Her company grew and became a benchmark in the region. She and Michael had 2 children and maintained a solid marriage based on mutual respect. Occasionally, she thought about that terrible day that was supposed to be her wedding to Richard. But now, she saw that moment as the best gift life had given her, the chance to discover who she really was and what she deserved. Richard married the girl from Washington, D.C., and, according to the news that reached Charleston, was well and stable. Rebecca was genuinely happy to hear that. Patrick married the lawyer and was also happy. They maintained a respectful friendship over the years. Jennifer raised her son in Savannah and became a successful entrepreneur in the events industry. She and Rebecca slowly grew closer again, rebuilding their family relationship. "Becky," said Michael one evening as they watched the children playing in the garden, "do you ever regret anything?" "Just one thing." "What?" "Not discovering the truth about Richard sooner." "Why?" "Because I could have avoided years of unhappiness. But if you had discovered it sooner, you might not be the same person you are today." "That's true. Every bad experience taught me something valuable." "What did you learn?" "That I deserve to be truly loved, that I have the right to be myself, and that a healthy relationship is possible. Those are important lessons." "They are, and they brought me to you. And they brought me to you too." They kissed, celebrating another day of a life built on solid foundations of love, respect, and truth. Rebecca had learned that sometimes you have to go through the storm to discover where true shelter is, and hers was in Michael's arms, in her family, and most importantly, within herself. End of story. And you, dear listener, what did you think of Rebecca's journey? Do you believe she made the right decisions? Leave your opinion in the comments and share your own experiences. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more touching stories like this one.